name is Ansa. I'll be doing grade 11 mathematics literacy, and this is data handling section 4. So basically what I'm going to do is just going to do another practical example of what you can expect when you have to do data handling in your test. So let's quickly look at the possible questions. So this is a question. The two line graphs show an average temperature for Johannesburg and Cape Town. Just quickly look at the graphs. You can see it shows there's the temperature, there's your months, there's your temperature, there's your month. So now you can already see it goes up and down as the months gets warmer and colder. There it goes up and down and up and down and on both sides. So what can your possible questions be? What information is displayed by the red line and the blue line? What is your average maximum temperature for December for Johannesburg and Cape Town? What is the average minimum temperature for June for Johannesburg and Cape Town? What is your warmest month and your coldest month respectively in Johannesburg and Cape Town? Compare the temperatures of Johannesburg and Cape Town with 3 comments. Okay, so let's just quickly look at question 1. Question 1 asks you, what information is displayed by the red line and the blue line? So let's quickly look at the red line. The red line goes below 15 degrees, so it's quite cold. So do you see in January it's 14 degrees and then it goes down. June it's away at 4 degrees and it goes up again in December. The exact same with Cape Town. It starts there at 17, 16 degrees and it goes down and goes up. So your red line will most probably represent your minimum temperatures, the temperatures at night, the low cold temperatures. Your blue line goes from 26, then it goes down and then it goes up again as your months. So it starts at summer and it goes to winter and it goes back up to summer again. So what does your blue line represent? Cape Town, it does the exact same. It will most probably represent your day temperatures, your warmer temperatures. Question 2 said, what is the average maximum temperature for December for Johannesburg? Okay, so this is Johannesburg's temperatures. There's December. You know now that the blue line represents your maximum temperatures. So in December, you're going to look at what is that dot. That dot, if you go all the way back to your degrees, you'll see it's about 26 degrees. Cape Town, again, you look at the blue line because that's your maximum temperatures. In December, there's your temperature, and if you have to go through with it to your degrees, you get about 26 degrees. Remember, guys, when we mark this, you usually have 2 above or 2 below. So if you said something like 24, then you will actually be correct, or 28, it will be fine. But don't make an obvious mistake. You see there's the line for 25. So you can't go to 24, then you'll be wrong. So if you do this, make sure you're as right as possible, because if we give you a line like this that says 25, that rule will automatically not fall in place, because 25, there is your line. So you can see it's more than 25 degrees. Question 3 said, what is the average minimum temperature for June for Johannesburg and Cape Town? So again, here's our information. The minimum temperatures, now we're going to work with the red line, and they ask you for the June minimum temperature. So there's June, there's your dot, so you're going to take it from there and you're going to measure it all the way back to your degrees, and it should be about, it looks like 4 degrees. If you said 3, it should be fine, but in this case, it was 4 degrees. Again, here you look at June, there's your dot, you go all the way to your degrees, and it looks like it's about 7 degrees. If you said 6, it will be fine because in this case you can't see that accurately. Number 4, what is your warmest month and coldest month respectively in Johannesburg and Cape Town? So first one, warmest month. Let's see. Where is it the warmest? You can either say January or December, because do you see they are both on the same line? For Cape Town, it's easier. Do you see? There's just one that goes all the way above the rest, and that will be February. So your warmest month for Johannesburg will be either January or December, and I would write both of them so you cover all your bases. And for Cape Town, it will be February. What is your coldest month? Now you're going to go down the lowest point in your graph. There's your coldest month. So for Johannesburg, your coldest month is in June. For Cape Town, again, I'm going to go to the lowest point. There's my lowest point. My lowest point is in July. So Johannesburg, coldest month is June, where Cape Town's coldest month is July. Question 5. Compare the temperatures for Johannesburg and Cape Town with 3 comments. Okay, so let's just quickly look at the graphs. What can you see about Johannesburg and Cape Town? First thing that I saw was your minimum temperatures in Cape Town is higher than in Johannesburg. This means, and as well as some of your maximum temperatures, this means that Cape Town is overall warmer than Johannesburg. What else can you see? You can see that Cape Town has the warmest month in February, where Johannesburg's warmest month is January and December. Thus, Cape Town has the warm month is in February. What else can you see? You can see that July is the coldest month in Cape Town, where June is the coldest month in Johannesburg. What else can we see? We can see that if the temperatures go decreases in your maximum line, your temperatures decreases in your minimum line as well. So they are directly in correlation with each other. That's just a few examples of what you can actually say or comment when they ask you to compare the 2 graphs to each other. Okay, let's just quickly look at another question. This question, give below are Rugby Currie Cup logs for 2009 and 2010. So let's just quickly look. This is 2009's information and this is 2010's information. Some of the teams are different. Here the Lions and the Griquas change, and here's the Pumas. Boland is not even here, and the Leopards is on the bottom of the log. So now let's look at the possible questions I can ask you about this information. Question 1 is just for clarification that they give you the terms. So PF means points for, PA means points against, PD means points difference. In other words, the difference between PF and PA is PD. Okay. What was the Blue Bulls PD in 2010? So let's just quickly look. Question 2, it says, on the 2010 log, use the PF and PA values of the Pumas to determine whether the PD value was correct. Question 3, draw a double bar graph to show the numbers of points against in 2009 and 2010 for the Sharks, the VPA, Blue Bulls, and Cheetahs. Question 4, draw a vertical stack graph to show the points for and against obtained in 2010 for the same 4 teams as in question 3. Number 5, describe any trends you see in the graph in question 3. And number 4, describe any trends you see in the graph in question 4. Okay, so let's start with the first question. There it just says the exact information again. So remember, PF means points for and PA means points again, and PD means points difference. In other words, P minus PA is going to give you PD. So here's my information that I gave you. So now here we're going to look at the Blue Bulls. They ask you what was the Blue Bulls PD for 2010. Okay. In this case, you don't actually have to calculate something. You just have to go and read it from your information. So the PD points for the Blue Bulls in 2010 was 63. Question 2. On the 2010 log, use the PF and PA values of the Pumas to determine whether the PD value was correct. Okay, so here's my information again. Now I'm going to use the Pumas information to calculate. I want to see if this value, did they calculate it correct, yes or no? So what do I actually need? The formula says PA minus PF, and that's going to give you PD. So there's my Pumas information. So my PA is 573 and my PF is 329. Subtract the two from each other and you should get an answer of 244. Now, remember guys, they ask you whether it was correct or not. If you just write this, you're not going to get all your marks. You need to remember to write, thus the PD was correct. That will give you your final marks that you need. Question 3. Draw a double bar graph to show the PD in 2009 and the PD in 2010 for the Sharks, VP, Blue Bulls, and Cheetahs. Okay, so yeah, I have just those 4 teams, and I'm going to use the PD for my graph. So just those information I'm going to use. I want you to show you, to draw your attention to Cheetahs and Blue Bulls. Do you see here they are swapped around? So you need to remember that when you draw the graph, you can't just use the information as is. You need to go and check whether the teams are corresponding. If they are not, you need to use the correct information for the teams. So again, I'm going to draw the background of my graph. Here's my graph background. Remember, you get marks for your headings, for your axis that you headings that you made for your axis. There's my teams on the bottom. I'm going to use my key for 2009 and 2010 respectively. And there's my first one. So Sharks, for the first one is 193 in 2009. And in 2010, the Sharks is 172. So now it's going to drop to 172. There we go. Do you see the 2 bars? It's easy. Next one, 219 and 240. So 219 should be about there. There we go. And 240 should be roughly around there. That's for the VP. Then we have the Blue Bulls, 176 and 165. No, do you see what I did now? That was incorrect because I just read as it goes. Blue Bulls, 176 and 7. And here you have Blue Bulls, 63. So there's your first one, 176. And now you're going to have your 63. That's going to be all the way down here. The next one is the Cheetahs, 205, and then you go up to 165. So 205 should be roughly about there, and then 165 should be something around there. Okay, remember guys, the most important thing about a bar graph or double bar graph is there need to be spaces between your bars so you can see it's a bar graph and not a histogram. A histogram is close next to each other. There's no spaces in between your bars. Question 4. Draw a vertical stack graph to show the points for and the gains obtained in 2010 for the same 4 teams as in question 3. So now I'm just going to use the information of 2010 log. There's my 4 teams. I'm going to use points for and I'm going to use points again. So those 2 is going to be my keys. Again, I draw my background, number of points, the teams. Your heading is whatever they asked you in the question. So the PD for 2009 and your heading will be whatever they asked you. So let's start with the first one. The Sharks, 492. There we go. There's your Sharks, 492. And then their points against was 300. So it's going to be below, on top, 300. So you're going to have your 492 plus the 300. And there's your vertical stack bar going to be. Do you see the mistake I almost made? I wanted to draw it next to each other because I thought we were busy with a bar graph. A vertical stack, you have to stack the two bars on top of each other. So Western Province, 520 and 280. So you're going to first have your 520. There we go. And then on top of that, you're going to have the 280. And there we go. Your answer should be 800. The next one is 488 and 323. So there we go. There's our 488. And then on top of it, we add the 323. The last one, it's 437. There we go. And on top of that, the 374. Can you see automatically you can see most of them scored exactly the same points, either for or against. It's quite average. It looks almost the exact same amount. There's here and there maybe a few points different, but overall the general tendency is they scored exactly the same amounts. So let's just quickly look at question 5. Question 5 says describe any trends you see in the graph in question 3. Okay, so here's my question 3 graph that I just copied and pasted again. So here I can see the Sharks points for and against them is almost the same. They achieved more, or the points difference in 2009 were higher than in 2010. So that means they did overall better in 2010. Again, the difference here, Vodacom, VP, so they have more points different. In other words, their points is achieved and their points for them was more of a difference in 2010. Vodacom Bulls, they did in 2009, they had quite a lot of points difference. In 2010, they had quite almost no points difference. So in other words, they either scored less or they got more points against them, thus meaning they did worse in 2010. Free State, they went all the way up in 2009 and a bit less in 2010. So if you look at this, you can see that the Blue Bulls did worse in 2010 than they did in 2009. You can see the VP did better in 2010 than they did in 2009. You can also see that except for the Blue Bulls, the rest quite kept the differences over the 2 years. There's not a lot of difference between 1 year and the second year, except for the Bulls. You can see the Bulls did really had a lot of difference between 2009 and 2010. Okay, the last one, last question. Describe any trends you see in the graph in question 4. Now remember guys, there was points against and points for the team. So the trends you can see is an average. They do, all 4 teams do on average, wow. All 4 teams average points against and points for are almost the exact same. You can see that these 4 teams are on the same level. They play very good rugby. The rugby is for and against is basically normal. You can see that here the Cheetahs have a quite nice balance between the points against and points for them. The Bulls have more points for them than points against them, as well as the VP has more points for them than against them. The Sharks has has it's almost the exact same, but you can see there is well a difference between the points for them and the points against them. So your three comments that you, or your comments that, or the trends that you will comment here on will be something like the overall tendency is there's quite a balance between the points against and points for the team. You can also say that overall these four teams seem to have play exactly the same. They tend to do as good, or all four of them are on the same level. You can say anything like that to see, or to make your comment. So your trends is these four teams are on average the same if you look at points against and points for the team. Thank you very much.